Hello and welcome to another video. This time we do talk about the Cyclone again, the current one, but I actually want to make a new series, and this series is going to be about ranking every StarCraft unit. I want to create a tier list and see like what is the best unit in the game. I'm gonna have my ranking based on head-on fight, utility, and like cost, like how much does a unit cost. Like for example, in this case, we're gonna test the Cyclone, and it does cost like as much as a tank, and it requires a tech lab in like to build out of the factory. So that's already gonna bring down the score quite a lot if it isn't like crazy strong. So let's have a look. We're gonna give this a score at the end of the video. Leave a comment now, give me your score, let me know. Yeah, let's find it out. So first, we're gonna do one Cyclone against two Stalkers. And we're just gonna move the Stalkers, and we're gonna show you the ability of the Cyclone, the lock-on with the high, like 15 range, I think it is, in the current patch. So as you can see, if you can like lock on to a single unit and run away, the Cyclone is extremely strong. This is also especially the case is if you have like a single Immortal against like a single Cyclone. I can actually kite this Immortal forever, and it's not even that hard. As you can see, this is extremely easy. Like, it's not even close out of range. I took a hit because I'm bad, but yeah. Like you can see, like I can even go further away. So this is like the utility of the Cyclone that we're already testing. Because like we're testing the Cyclone right now. So let's get that out of the window, because like next up I'm gonna test like how the Cyclone performs like in a head-on fight, where I'm not gonna utilize the utility because it's not how it works. Like, you can't always just run away and like use its utility because it has weaknesses, which I'm gonna show you. But obviously its lock-on range is insane, especially in the early game against like Phoenixes. If you have like a couple Cyclones and they just lock on and zone the Phoenix, like you can see how long the range goes. So the utility of the Cyclone is insane. It probably has one of the highest like utility, which isn't actually that useful a lot of times because of certain problems. And this is going to be one of the problems I show you before we're gonna test the strength. What if there's a Protoss army and it has like units that outrange the Cyclone? For example, the Colossus. So the Protoss has a ranged Colossus and you have Cyclones. Well, the problem is going to be you can never get in range and utilize the lock-on range. Because before you can get in range, the Colossus will shoot you. And that is really, like, in a normal fight, it's like really unrealistic to like utilize the Cyclone range, if that is the case. Another problem with the current Cyclone, this is what's gonna bring down the score as well, is the fact that like the Cyclone, it locks on like to a single target maximum. So if I have like 13 Cyclone against one Ultralisk and I just A-move them, only one Cyclone is locking on. Only one Cyclone is locking on. I'll have to like rapid fire and then every Cyclone is gonna lock on. Which is another downside sometimes. Against like mass Zerglings is an upside. Another downside is the fact that like there's a little bit of a delay when the Cyclone hits. So if we have the Zerglings, for example, or the Banelings, let's do Banelings, that's like the most common. So you have like a Baneling run-by that you want to kill with the Cyclone. It's not like the Marine that turns around and shoots immediately. If the Cyclone locks on, you can hear the boop, and then it starts shooting like with a little bit of delay, and now it's on cooldown. You can't see the cooldown, but it is 4-second cooldown. So only now I can lock on again, a little bit of delay. I lock on cooldown, 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 boop. So even though its utility in the early game is quite insane against the Protoss unit, especially if it's like a single target or like Phoenixes that you zone, it does have its weaknesses that make it kind of weak. Another thing is you can't always utilize the range. Because like I said, if you go pure Cyclone, the other guy could also have like Stalkers. This is a TVP test, so I'm gonna specifically rank the Cyclone in a TVP matchup. Like for example here, I have Blink Stalkers. I can always just blink on top of the Cyclones. But now this is 15 Cyclones against 15 Stalkers. Well, they don't have the upgrade. But yeah, I can always blink on top. And then, like, yeah, running away doesn't really make that much of a difference. And another thing is, if I get backed into a corner, there's not, like, infinite space. So sometimes, if you, like, you're forced to take a fight, and you can't run away infinitely. So if we have, like, a bunch of charge slots that just run towards the Cyclone, they obviously can kite, like, the Zealots for, like, quite a while. But eventually, they're not gonna have enough DPS to kill them, and then they are backed into a corner. And then they do have to take the fight. That is also the case if you, for example, if you have tanks with the Cyclones. So if you play mech and you have like Cyclones and siege tanks, and you have like tanks and Cyclones to like poke, so here I'm like poking. If the Zealots decide to run, and you like kite and utilize the Cyclone range, the Zealots will automatically get on top of your siege tanks, which is another thing that you don't want. So you can see like clear weaknesses in the Cyclone, and those weaknesses really appear the more that you build. And another reason why is the production cost. You require a factory with a tech lab to be able to build it. It's one Cyclone is basically one siege tank. Would you rather have a Cyclone or would you have a siege tank? Well, if I do make a video on the tank, you're gonna like find out. So now we're gonna test the strength against Protoss. So first up, against the Zealots, we're gonna do like a little bit of a mid-game fight here. So we're gonna get 1-1 upgrades and obviously the lock-on upgrade. We're going to be getting, let's do 25 Cyclones. We're gonna get 25 Cyclones, and we're gonna get, I guess, 40 Zealots. You have to like look at the cost in this case. We can probably get even more Zealots. We're gonna go up to like way more supply in Zealots. And see how actually there's double the amount of Zealots. 50 Zealots is unrealistic. Let's go to 40. 40 Zealots against, yeah, like equal supply roughly. But like keep in mind the cost. Zealots need a gateway to build. Like look at the cost difference. Keep that in mind when I do this test. Really keep that in mind. So the cost difference is the same. We're gonna get +2 and charge. And now we're gonna take a fight. We're gonna aim with the Zealots. And then see how good the Cyclones are. We're gonna micro with the Cyclones. We're gonna be kiting away, utilizing its lock on. And obviously we can see one thing. Cyclones are really good against Zealots. They are strong, yes. But this is also like a lot of like Cyclones that cost way more than the Zealots. And it took some time to kill them. So yeah, Cyclones perform very well against the Zealots. I think we can all agree on that. I don't think that is a surprise. Wow, Cyclones perform decent against the Zealot. What is like the problem is the fact that you can never get 25 Cyclones against like 40 Zealots, obviously. But we're gonna get into that at the end of the video when I like summarize everything. But for now, Cyclones trade well against the Zealot, yeah. It's that simple. Now against the Stalker, we're gonna test one particular thing. And that also has to do with utility. And that is like the 4-gate blink, for example. So can the Cyclone be a unit that can defend off the 4-gate blink? In this case, we're gonna get equal supply of Cyclones against equal supply of Stalkers. And this is going to be a problem, because we can't run away, because he's gonna blink on top of us. And also, what if the Protoss has a Warp Prism? So like I said, you can't always just run away, because if the Protoss does a 4-gate blink, he's in your base. You can't just run away. And also the Protoss has a Warp Prism on top of that. So keep that in mind. Because of the Warp Prism, I'm just gonna add one more Cyclone. But just let me show you. So this is a normal fight, just A move, no micro whatsoever. Or we can blink micro, but like because of the range, you can see they are still locked on. So even if I blink micro, this is really decent. The Stalkers are still gonna win, but like it's okay, right? It's not the worst thing. It actually is. Because this is 9 Cyclones. 9 Cyclones. You can get like 8 tanks for that. Would you rather have this or 8 siege tanks? I think the question is clear. At least in this fight against the Stalkers. At least against the Stalkers. Tanks can't shoot up. That's one of the disadvantages. But now let me show you one more thing. And that is Warp Prism Micro. Because it cancels the lock on. So whenever I do this, and I like pick up the Stalkers and yeah, I don't even blink micro, I just like use the warp prism to like soak up the hits. I did not lose a single Stalker. And obviously I didn't micro the Cyclones, but I microed the Stalkers. But like, don't tell me that the Cyclone is good against the Stalker. Wait, we have upgrades by the way, let's get rid of the upgrades. Forget blink, you don't have upgrades. I don't think it makes a difference, right? Let's do it one more time. Without the upgrades, but yeah, like don't tell me that Cyclones are good against Stalkers in the current patch. They are so bad at like all stages of, oh, I locked onto the warp prism. At like all stages of the game. Oh, we're gonna win the fight. Oh! Well, that was on me, because I lost the warp prism. But you get the point. Don't tell me that the Cyclone is like that great against the Stalker. Because like this is could be a tank as well. So like we get now like 20 Cyclones or 25 again, and we get like 40 Stalkers, and then we're gonna do just the A move to see it again. Oh wait, upgrades. 1-1 for the Cyclones again, +2 for the Stalkers. We're not getting maxed out upgrades, because this is just to test the strength in like mid-game. This is a mid-game test. We're gonna blink on top and A move. All the Cyclones have their lock on, and they do really well. Like, to be honest, like they don't lose without a fight, right? They're at least like taking out some Stalkers. But yeah, like this is really one-sided. The Cyclones against the Stalkers perform really bad, and this is also one of the reasons it brings down the utility a lot, because you can't use this unit to like expand. It has 0 utility because it currently gets, or 0 utility. It has its utility against like Stargate, single units. But as soon as it's like fighting, like even if I run away, I can obviously blink on top. I can't run away forever. You get the point. So against the Stalker, it did not perform particularly well. Next up is going to be the Immortal, or we're gonna do the Archon. Let's do the Archon. We're gonna get equal supply of Archons. This is actually a ridiculous fight, because look at how much gas this is. We're gonna increase the upgrades. We're gonna get +2 to, let's do 2-2 for the Cyclones and 3-1 for the Archons. That's usually how it goes. We're not gonna use the Warp Prism. Let's go see how this goes. Archons are really slow, and as you can see, I think Cyclones are probably one of the best units against Archons. If I can run away, that is. They do really well against the Archons. But I think nobody, like, this is like the thing, nobody would have said anything about that. Like, I'm obviously not microing perfectly, but like, they're doing really well against the Archons. This was like, how many Archons? Like 20 Archons? 18? This is 18 Archons. 18! Like, in no game you're gonna see 18 Archons. If I do 18 Archons against like Marines, that's what we're gonna do in another video. The Marines are gonna get destroyed. So yeah, this is like Archons. This is like 20 Archons nearly. So good job against the Archons. Next up is going to be the Immortal. Equal supply of Immortals. We're gonna keep the upgrades. We're not gonna max out on the upgrades quite yet. 18 Immortals. Let's see how that goes. We're gonna give the Cyclones a lot of space to run away. And we're even gonna form a little bit of a concave to use its utility. Let's see. Against the Immortal, it can outrange. So to be honest with you, it can actually outrange. I'm not doing a particularly great job. If it does get cornered, it sucks. But if it doesn't get cornered, and this is another like really bad fight, like this is something you're never gonna see in a real game of StarCraft. This is just to test. And you can see the Cyclones. Let's do it one more time. Like the first shots, and if you have something behind, like the first shots are really good. So like they do have some strength behind them because of that range advantage. So you lock on and they can barely get hits off. The Immortals that are. Well, in this case I made some mistake. But like the first Immortals, they do get like tickled. And if you don't get cornered, they can outrange the Immortal. So against the Immortal, I would say, this wasn't the best test, I know. But like, I would say, again, this is my opinion, against the Immortal, it does okay. Like, look at the cost. It's like way harder to get this many Immortals than this many Cyclones, of course. And you always have to keep in mind, the Stalker is a unit that can shoot up as well. The Immortal can only shoot down. So if the Cyclone like outranges the Immortal like this, like the Immortals they have other weaknesses. So like if they trade like this, like if the Immortal is obviously stronger than the Cyclone, I think it's okay. I'm not gonna hate on the Cyclone because of that trade. Now we're gonna go to the bigger units. We're gonna max out on every upgrade. We're gonna max out on the upgrades. We're gonna get every single upgrade for every single unit. In particular, we're gonna have thermal lance for the Colossus. And we're gonna see how it does against the Colossus. Does it get murdered by Colossus or does it not get murdered? And in this case, we're also gonna go up in the Cyclone and count, I guess. We're gonna do 25 first, and then we're gonna go for like a maxed out fight. Well, that's what we're gonna do for the last time. Oops, what am I doing? I'm stutter stepping forward against Colossus. I'm an idiot. Okay, let's go. We're gonna lock on. Let's just like one lock on and then run away. See if we can kill some Colossus. It takes so long to kill Colossus. It takes so long. I think it may be better to just A-move. It takes so long. They're obviously bad against those. I mean, if you saw the video on the Cyclone before, when they made it imbalanced for 2 days on the test mod, like this is night and day difference. The Colossus just wrecked the Cyclone. Does it do better if I just A-move and like flank a little bit like this? Like one squad goes here, the other squad like goes here. We're gonna like split. Does it make like a difference? Not really, it's kind of the same. Oh wait, no, it does make a difference. If I like go like this, then we do kill a little bit more, it feels like. But once again, the Cyclone loses. It doesn't trade well against the Colossus either. And even if we max out and we go into 50 Cyclones against 25 Colossus. See how that goes. Let's deep dive in one time. First we're gonna try like this. How many can we kill? We can kill 18 survive. And then we're gonna spread like this. Oh, I misclicked a little bit. Oops. Oh, I misclicked a little bit, my bad. Split. This is a very open map, keep in mind. Like this is favored for the Cyclones in that case. But you can see Colossus murder them. Or murder them. They won the fight. They won the fight pretty easily. The more Colossus, the easier. I mean, that shouldn't be a surprise either, right? But once again, the Colossus doesn't shoot down. So yeah, the Colossus is also pretty strong against the Cyclone. And once again, one of the biggest downside with the Cyclone is how expensive it is. It's essentially a siege tank. But at the same time, like how weak it is. Like it has that gimmick, the lock-on, which is really good in like smaller fights. Against Zerg, it's a lot better. Like against Zerg, this Cyclone, because Zerg doesn't have like the same range like Protoss. Like Protoss units can blink. They have a lot of HP, like the Immortal. They have Colossus, which are just higher range. Zerg doesn't have that. So like against Zerg, the Cyclone is going to perform much better. But like against Protoss, you can see against like any unit, except the Zealot and the Archon so far, where it wins because it has a lot of micro potential. It does get, like, it does lose, especially against the Stalker. The Stalker is like the most common unit in early game TVP. Last up is going to be the Carrier. Let's see how the Cyclone performs here. And keep in mind, the other Cyclone that we tested, the one that they want to put in, or that did test, put in the test mod for like a couple days, it wrecked everything. It just destroyed like carriers and so on. Let's do 12 carries. Okay, full interceptors, we're gonna stack them up. We're gonna deep dive in. My prediction is gonna be that the Cyclones lose again. Let's see. First, we're gonna deep dive. Let's see how that goes. We're deep diving. And we killed one carrier, great. Second, we're gonna kite. At least we're gonna try to. I'm gonna like cheat a little bit. I'm gonna use rapid fire, lock on, and retreat. So I'm gonna rapid fire, and then shift click to retreat. And then we're gonna micro like this. Oh, they actually bug so much, oh my god. But as you can see, they can't really outrange the carriers, but if they do run away, we can at least take out more. But now they're locking onto the interceptors. Okay, let's do it one more time. 7 carriers survived out of 12. So one last time against the carriers here. A move. Lock on. Go away. I feel like the first time was a lot better. Let's give it one try. This is like impossible to micro. Like, they just block each other. Like, in order to do this, I'll have to like come in from like the sickest angle in order to do this. So I'm gonna really try and favor the Cyclone here. I'm gonna make it like the best way for the Cyclone. We're gonna try and like make this like as good as possible. We're not gonna give it 100%, but like this. So they don't block each other. And then we're gonna lock on. And then we're gonna kite. Well, actually the first time I did it with rapid fire was so much better. This is like impossible. So the only way to do this is to split them like I just did a little bit. Then we're gonna aim move them in. Then we're gonna lock on with rapid fire, and then shift click back, and then select the ones individually a little bit. But yeah, you can see, even if like 2 players were controlling this, this is like a joke. This is not a fight I can ever take. I always get wrecked. And I'm trying my best with the Cyclones here, but like, obviously there's gonna be some guys in the comments saying I didn't micro this correctly. Try it yourself. Try it yourself. But this isn't really the point of it. The point of it is to like see the strength of the unit. And I can't really see the strength of the unit if it's being masked. Okay, let's see. 200 supply fight. I don't want to see this. We're gonna shift click again, I suppose. Like this. Oh, it's lagging. We're killing 3 carriers. Well, I'm a little bit puzzled here. I don't know what to do with that many Cyclones. So like the more Cyclones you have, and the more you fight against like ranged units, there's nothing you can do, because like whenever I go in, like these Cyclones will lock on, but these will not. So like I have to go really deep in, or I have to do like the sickest flank. But even then, even if I go for like a full surround, then I can't kite, because like I would have to like, this part I have to send top left, bottom left. This part I have to send left, this top left, this top right. Like, it's impossible to micro this. Impossible. So yeah, the Cyclone really loses its strength later on. Like, the strength of the unit is like non-existent, like, really. At least in the longer game. We're gonna really try our best here. Cyclone, surround. Is that gonna be making like a difference? No. Not at all. So that will do it for Cyclone, I guess. Quick summary. So, we're gonna make a, I'm gonna rate the unit. This is the first unit that I rate. So it's hard to say like what is a 10 out of 10. So let's start with its utility. The Cyclone is really good, the current Cyclone, in small numbers. Any Protoss unit that you have here, like let's say 1 Cyclone against 1 Colossus, if I have 2 Cyclones against a Colossus, I'm gonna win, because I just lock on and boom. Easy. Any unit here gets countered by a handful of Cyclones. So in the early game, its utility I think is unmatched. This is like a mothership core, isn't it? Like this is like a mothership core, 100%. So its utility, in the early game though, that's just the early game. Its utility in the early game, considering that like you can only make it out of like a tech lab factory, it's like a tech unit, you need an upgrade for it. Well, you need an upgrade for every unit. It falls off after the early game. Like its early game utility is a 10 out of 10. But like afterwards, it's really, it's like falling off completely. Like even if you play mech, you don't ever see more than just the early game Cyclones. Never. You don't really see anything but like the early game Cyclones in TVP. So I would give this unit, in terms of utility alone, considering that it has a strong usage against like Stargate, and you can drop it, like in the early game you can micro it very, very well. So like it is helpful. It's like the Reaper, you know, the Reaper also kind of serves that role. So like its utility is definitely, let's say, let's be nice, like an 8 out of 10. Like I can't give it more than like a 7 or an 8. Because in the late game it's just useless. But like utility is like does the unit have like a certain gimmick that makes it like individual and like gives them like a strong advantage? Yes, it has that. So definitely I would give it like, let's say, an 8 out of 10 in that. And then its strength. Its strength is not great. It does fight back. It does fight back. It's not like SCVs against Colossus. It's not that bad. So it's not like a 0 out of 10. Or 1 out of 10. But I think compared to other units that we're gonna test, its strength is really where it's lacking. Because like a unit needs to be strong. We're obviously not gonna be testing like the Dark Templar or the High Templar, whatever, or like the, I guess we're not gonna be testing like the Raven either. Because those units are spellcasters, those units are like really gimmicky. You're not really massing them. But the Cyclone is, I think, supposed to be a combat unit. Because it's like the same as like a siege tank basically. And for like a combat unit, it has no strength. It really has no strength. I'm gonna say it is a 5 out of 10. I would go with like, because of its range, like a 5 out of 10. So in general, in TVP, the Cyclone for me gets a rating of, let's go with a 6 out of 10, based on all that we have said. So, do you agree with me? If you do so, then leave a comment. I'll be testing every unit, I think, because it's kind of fun. Let me also know how to do this better. I don't want to get like another player to like micro the other side, because I like to do it myself, just to play around. That's something I will probably not be doing. I think this is enough. But yeah, if you do have some feedback, then go ahead and leave it in a comment. And yeah, give me your rating. 6 out of 10 it is for me. And hope to see you again in my next video. Bye-bye.